Good morning, everyone. Hope we're well. Hope we're enjoying the. Hope we're enjoying the. Oh God, a new button's just popped up on my screen saying I can share it with my Fitness Barn group. So I've pressed the button and let's see what happens. So for obviously everyone that's listening to this today, we're going to talk about something which I think as a society. We're very, very poor at consuming, and it's very, very important. It's very important for one reason, and there's many more reasons as well. But one reason is that it helps us build and helps us maintain lean muscle mass. Now, lean muscle mass is so important, not just for aesthetics, but for your health. The more muscle, the better that's going to do you kind of later down the line, as well as right now. It's going to help quality of movement. It's going to help with you losing weight. It's going to help reduce risk of health conditions such as type 2 diabetes, reduce just general risk factors to many conditions. But it's one of the things that we find that people do or are doing when they come to us is not eating enough protein. Now, protein obviously hand in hand goes with helping build and maintain lean muscle mass, but it's not surprising to us, but people are so surprised when they initially come to us about actually how much protein they need to be consuming. It's not a lot of protein, but because of how little they were consuming beforehand, it seems like an awful lot. Now, there was a study done in 2005 which recommended the minimum amount of protein would be 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So, for example, for a 100 kilogram individual, it would be 80 grams per day. Okay, that's the minimum amount. Okay, now I would say a lot of people initially when they come to us and show us what they're eating aren't even eating that amount. Okay, I think also there's the notion of too much protein is unhealthy or too much protein is bad for you. That's not the case. I think it gets to a certain point where it's not needed. You can probably be eating too much protein and it's just not needed. It's not that it's still safe. It's not going to be unhealthy, but you're talking like 4 to 4.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. So you're looking at, for a 100 kilogram individual, between 400 and 450 grams of protein a day, which is very hard to consume. Also as well, okay, you factor into the occasion actually making all that meat or that protein. It's predominantly you're going to be consuming it through animal protein as well. It's maybe a bit through plant-based sources and things like that, but the actual effort for Joe Blogs to be expected to make that amount of protein is simply not feasible and not realistic going forward. So it's not needed. So we've got the spectrum of people not consuming enough protein, which is very, very common in our society these days. So our first port of call as coaches is to make sure that we address that and we try to get them eating enough protein per day. So what is the sweet spot with protein? Well, predominantly with our clients, we start them off between 1.6 and 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So again, a 100 kilogram individual will be on anything between 160 and 220 grams of protein per day, okay, for them to eat. Okay, now again, for a lot of people, they struggle to find ways of consuming that. So we play around with the measures, but there are also little things you can bring in to make getting that protein intake that little bit easier. But that is kind of like the sweet spot, which we play around with. Do we go above that? Absolutely. With certain clients, we go above that. And it's very important that when we drop calories on a daily basis or for a few days, that protein intake stays high as well. So it's natural things like fats and carbohydrates are then going to drop to make sure that calorie range drops. Okay, but it's taken into account all situation, all circumstances for the individual again. Okay, so realistically, if a client hasn't got time, as much as time isn't an excuse, but if they haven't got as much time as someone else to be making a lot of food, a lot of meat, a lot, cooking a lot of protein, then we might drop that protein intake a bit lower to start off with, or find other ways of getting on board, like whey protein in the form of shakes and things like that to up the protein intake. But in summary, society as a whole at the minute, I feel, isn't consuming enough protein. So one thing you can do right now, if you're listening to this, is address are you eating enough protein? Are you consuming enough? And if you're not, you can find this out by tracking on MyFitnessPal. And if you're not, you can obviously try and take that up to those recommended amounts between 1.6 and 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. And also, in summary, is it safe to consume big amounts of protein? Absolutely, it's safe. It's not harmful to you at all. But after a certain period, I'd say, up around the 4 grams, 4.5 grams per kilogram of body weight, it doesn't become that important to the general public to do that. And also, it's a massive effort to cook that, to prepare it, and continue that for the foreseeable future. On a daily basis, it's very hard, and it's just not needed. So I've got guys at the minute, they're on 3 grams per kilogram of body weight of protein. Some have gone up to 3.5, but I've never really taken anyone above 3.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. Most of my clients are between that bracket of 1.6 and 2.2, just because it's enough for them, and also from a time restriction point of view, they don't want to be in the kitchen cooking all the time, or simply taking on that amount of protein all the time. Can you mix it up with animal protein and obviously plant-based proteins? Absolutely. But from a calorie deficit point of view, if you're looking to consume higher amounts of protein, to get that all through plant-based sources is obviously going to dramatically increase your calorie intake. So you're going to have to think about consuming more kind of animal based protein in order to keep that calorie deficit low. So I hope that's helped today. So first thing to do would be to address actually how much protein on average are you eating per day at the minute, and try and, if it's low, try and raise it. And secondly, it's to put your mind at ease that it's very safe to eat as much protein as you want. It's not going to be harmful to you, but there comes a point where it's probably not needed for the general public and for Joe Bloggs. Have a great day, guys. Cheers.